Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas unto you. I hope you have having a great night, a great holiday, and I wish you nothing but the best in the upcoming new year. So tonight we are talking about the dark price of fame in Hollywood. And so let me get started. The link is in the chat. As people come in, I am asking you to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. As my friend Cheeks always says, I can see you. I can see you haven't subscribed. Please subscribe. It would help the channel. It will help me be able to bring you more content that you love. Okay. So let me see what I got going on here. Okay. Yeah, I'm a little quiet because I need new glasses. I cannot see. Okay. All right. Look like I'm solo dolo for now.
Michael's love.
So right now we're gonna start off with Michael Jackson. This was actually Cheeks's. Cheeks has been wearing me out, saying that she believes that something took place between Michael Jackson and Diana Ross. Now, I don't know about that. Growing up, yes, some things was alleged. If you go and listen to his song Dirty Diana, you know, people suspected that that was Michael talking about Diana Ross. Cheeks has always alluded to the fact that she believes Diana Ross may have done something inappropriate with a very young Michael Jackson.
Michael's love for Diana started off as a childhood crush, but developed into a teenage infatuation. They only became close when Michael came of age. His brother Jermaine mentioned in his book, I know Michael has always loved Diana. From when he was a small boy, he knew he wouldn't be able to act on his love for her until he became an adult. By the late 1970s, Diana Ross and Michael Jackson flirted wildly in public, and numerous reports at the time speculated whether the two were having a romance. But was there any truth to this? Did Michael Jackson's obsession with Ross extend into a full blown affair? Or did the two stars use the speculation to benefit both their careers? Welcome to the detail. Michael Jackson first met Diana Ross at age 10 when he and the other four members of the Jackson 5 auditioned for Motown Records, in which Diana was the label's most shining star. Paving her own career outside her Supremes fame of the 1960s, Diana first saw Michael and his brothers performing for a charity show. Although untrue, what was fed to the media was that Diana Ross discovered the Jackson 5 and used her connections to propel them into superstardom. When he and his brothers signed to Motown and the family were looking for a place in Los Angeles, Michael moved in with Diana. Michael used to tease his brothers, call her his girlfriend, and wouldn't let anyone near her. In 1977, Michael Jackson accepted the role as the Scarecrow in the film adaptation of The Wiz. This was largely due to his longtime friend Diana Ross, who was named to play Dorothy. However, it was speculated that Ross would only get the part if she could get Michael Jackson, a teen idol at the time, to take part in the film as well. As at 33, she was considered too old for the part. Pauline Kael, a film critic, described Ross's efforts to get the film into production as perhaps the strongest example of sheer will in film history. Michael Jackson's mother, Catherine, once said, when Diana Ross was named to play Dorothy, Michael had further incentive to land a role in the movie. He'd been in love with her ever since he and his brothers had been her house guests. You're not pretty until you start looking like Diana, he would tease Latoya and Janet. Jackson biographer J. Randy Taraborelli recounted that in 1977, while on the Wiz shoot, Michael Jackson and Diana Ross would regularly go out at night attending parties in New York Studio's 54 nightclub. One of Diana's assistants said he had been trying to get hold of the both of them all morning as they were late for filming. Eventually, they got hold of them on the phone and was surprised to find they were in his apartment and that she had apparently spent the night there. Later on during the shoot, Diana was apparently overheard talking to some girlfriends of hers and said to one of them, "Well, I'll tell you one thing, Michael definitely isn't gay." When this assistant asked Michael if anything had happened,
Whoa, wait a minute. I never knew this when I was young growing up. I didn't. Oh, they was able to keep this under wraps. That's old Hollywood for you. Well, not old Hollywood, but it's not Gen Z Hollywood. Oh my goodness.
between them, Michael said, "You'd have to ask her that." This flirtation between Michael Jackson and Diana Ross would continue for years to come as Michael's infatuation grew. But Diana never took the relationship seriously because of their 13-year age gap. Although this was never an issue for Michael, Diana, on the other hand, could not overcome the taboo of the age and their
Oh, this was a weird time. This was a weird time. 13-year age gap sent her swinging. 13 years. I think it's more weird for the fact that she knew him as a little kid than if she had just met him as an adult. Like you knew me, you knew this person when they were 7 and 8 years old. And now just because he's 23, it just seems weird. You know, even if hopefully nothing inappropriate took place. But yeah, but nowadays, 13 years, it's nothing. And if a woman is 13 years older than a man, so what? Society needs to get over that.
association when Jackson was a child. She was fearful of how this would impact on her public image and thus her career. And Diana Ross was a fiercely ambitious woman. After a photo session with Diana Ross and photographer Todd Gray, Jackson ordered two large prints of every picture. Two of every single one? That's about 144 prints. Michael answered, "Yes, I can count. I want one set for myself and one for Diana. Todd, this is magic." During Diana Ross's 1981 special, Michael Jackson was featured heavily. They performed together 3 times, and Michael was the only other person who had their own performance other than Diana Ross herself. While being introduced, Diana called Michael her baby, and they hugged several times. The special also included a mini interview between the two, where they flirted and called each other sexy. Diana Ross said in Ebony that same year, "I'm crazy about Michael, and I love him a lot. He's been my inspiration. He's a very gentle, wonderful human being, so whenever I can be around him, I like it. His aura is only about love." Diana Ross's vivacious character and affection towards Michael allowed fans to misconstrue it as sexual. Diana's personality was infectious, and she was flirty with all men in public, including Michael. It's one of the tragedies of Michael Jackson that he dwelt on this romantic obsession and did not let it go. Jackson even erected a shrine dedicated to the love of his life in his family home with photographs and mementos. However, Diana wasn't interested in Michael and made several attempts to soften the blow for him. The public saw her and MJ as mother and son. This is demonstrated while on the red carpet with Michael at the 19.
Michael wanted some of that cougar. Ooh, wait. She said the public saw them as mother and son. I don't I think I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe some of the silent generation and older boomers may have seen it that way, but I don't think Gen X cared. We didn't care. I didn't see you as mother and son. Michael said he wanted to tap the old cheeks.
1981 Oscars, she said, "He's going to play my son." As a result, they burst out laughing and walked away. But even with Diana's hints and gentle letdowns, in Michael Jackson's naive mind, he and Diana were in a relationship and he had hopes that they would ultimately be together. In 1983, Michael Jackson once said in an interview, "Diana Ross is everything you could wish for. I love her. I hope she marries me. She always tells me her most private secrets. That's the kind of relationship we have." Michael Jackson was devastated when Ross met her second husband, Norwegian shipping magnate Arne Nace Jr., in 1985. The two married the following year, and Michael Jackson apparently canceled his attendance to the public wedding at the last minute. When I heard Diana Ross was getting married, I was happy for her because I knew it would make her very joyous. Still, it was hard for me getting married to this man I'd never met. I wanted her to be happy, but I have to admit that I was a bit hurt and a little jealous.
When did Michael say these things? I missed it. I just missed it all. Oh my goodness. Well, I was only 10 years old.
During 1986 American Music Awards, Michael showed up halfway through the show with a suitable replacement for Diana Ross in the form of Elizabeth Taylor. It was noted how Michael Jackson appeared visibly upset and cold towards Ross during the show, in which he reluctantly celebrated the success of USA Africa's We Are the World charity single. Michael Jackson went on to write
I can see the tension. I can see the tension between the two of them.
several songs about Diana Ross and their relationship while recording material for his Bad and Dangerous albums. Songs which were released included 1992's Remember the Time, in which Jermaine, Michael's brother, wrote that the song was, as Michael told me, written with Diana Ross in mind, the one great love that, as far as he was concerned, escaped him. Michael also released Dirty Diana in 1987 on the Bad album. Many fans speculating that although the song was about groupies, it was also a dig at Diana Ross while he was angry at her for leading him on and then getting married to another man. Ross's marriage, however, was not
See, I said Dirty Diana was alleged to have been about Diana Ross. Girl, he called you dirty. He said, Dirty Diana. No. Ooh, deep.
not happy in spite of two sons. Diana and Arna were married, yet they lived on separate continents. Diana mentioned in interviews that she couldn't live in Norway because it was cold and dark and didn't want to move away from her older kids, family, and a career in the US. Diana Ross secretly saw Michael Jackson even during her pregnancies. He was devastated and brokenhearted, but was still under her spell, however. "I've always loved Diana, and I always will," he wrote in his autobiography, Moonwalk. But as the years went by, Michael's interactions with Diana became more infrequent as she focused on family life and he extensively promoted and toured around the world. In 1991, Diana Ross told the Rock Hill Herald that when he wants to see me, he sees me. When he doesn't, he kind of closes the door. There's no reaching him, there's no finding him, there's no anything. He's just this elusive love out there. Although Diana always had a place in Michael's heart, he called her his world when she visited him in hospital in 1995. He had his then wife, Lisa Marie Presley, literally thrown out of his room in preparation for Diana's arrival, in which he lavished her with affection and gifts. After Michael Jackson's death in 2009 and many years since they had a close relationship, Diana Ross was mentioned in his will, stating that he would like to leave his children with her in the event of his mother's death. This act honoring her as the great mother she was to her children and knowing in death she would be the best to guide his own. But also honoring their lifelong friendship, the lasting bond they developed over the years, and a last reminder of the special place she always had in his heart. Tune into one of our latest videos right here and also check out our online store for your latest pop icon inspired styles.
Yeah, maybe Cheeks is on to something. Maybe something did happen with Michael and Diana Ross. But I'm not gonna put that jacket on Diana Ross. Um, that something happened before Michael was of age. But this is about the dark price of fame and fortune in Hollywood. There is a price to be paid. And now we're watching Diddy pay the price and Jay-Z. And probably soon we will hear about Beyonce and allegedly J-Lo, allegedly Mary J. Blige. The dark price of fame and fortune. I mean, and some of these people were coerced, some people were blackmailed, and some people willingly participated. So I will leave it up to you to decide if you believe something happened to Michael Jackson as a child. And we always look at men as predators, but women can be predators too. So now we're on to the next ones. Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen has just found himself on the list of Hollywood stars accused of rape. The reports come from the National Enquirer, and they claim Sheen is finally being unmasked after multiple sources stepped forward to confirm that the HIV-infected actor raped child star Corey Haim on the set of Lucas in 1986. According to the story, Sheen, then 19, convinced Corey, then 13, to have sex during the production of the film. And after they did, Charlie became very cold and rejected him. In fact, when Corey wanted to fool around again, Charlie was not interested. The story.
Now, this was news to me. When I heard this story before, I thought that it was not coercion, but it was brutal. And it took place in Hames's trailer. Now, this report is it was coercion and statutory.
Also mirrors the shocking tale by Haim's friend Corey Feldman, who wrote in his tell-all memoir that at some point during the filming of Lucas, an adult male convinced Haim it was perfectly normal for older and younger boys in the business to have sexual relations. So they walked off to a secluded area between two trailers during a lunch break. But Feldman never named Sheen in his book. However, a former child actor close to Haim backs those claims and adds that Haim and the Wall Street star actually had sex again, this time when Corey was in his 20s. But he didn't like it, and he was finally over Sheen. The National Enquirer claims to have contacted more than 100 people spread across 10 states about the story, and they say dozens have gone on the record.
Well, that's a lot to unpack. And clearly something happened because Corey Haim was never the same. He always seemed destroyed and distraught. So Charlie Sheen, he could say a lot of things. Charlie Sheen can say a lot of things that he wants to say, but I don't believe him. I just don't. And that's my right to not believe him. I mean, just from his goddesses that he lived with, he's just weird. We know that he frequent a lot of prostitution, brothels, places. We know that he participated with a lot of prostitutes. And what gets me is that Farrah from Teen Mom was trying to get up with Charlie Sheen. And it was like, girl, don't you know that Charlie Sheen is sick? Just crazy. People are really broken out here. And it's sad. It is very sad. So now we're on to Brooke Shields.
One of her most memorable roles being as Emmeline in Randall Kleiser's 1980 film. Brooke Shields has enjoyed a long and successful career as a model and actress in both TV and film. She has become an iconic figure in pop culture, with one of her most memorable roles being as Emmeline in Randall Kleiser's 1980 film, The Blue Lagoon. While this movie was a huge success, Shields' later career as an actress did not reach the same heights. In this video, I aim to explore why Brooke Shields did not achieve the same level of success as an actress. Brooke Shields has been in the public eye for her entire life. Her mother took an active role in managing her career from a very young age, believing her to be the most beautiful child and with high ambitions for her future. Shields began her career in show business at just 11 months old when she was cast in an Ivory soap commercial and was quickly named the most beautiful baby in America, launching her Hollywood career. Although Shields worked with Woody Allen in his 1977 film, Annie Hall, her role was ultimately cut from the final edit of the movie. Eileen Ford, founder of the Ford Modeling Agency, described Shields as a professional child who looks and thinks like an adult. At age 12, the actress played her first major role, and after this film, it was clear that the career of an actress would be very bright. Pretty Baby is the movie that started it all for Shields in so many ways. She was 12 years old when she grabbed the role of a child prostitute in the movie. Immediately, child porn was called into play. 40 years later, she told Vanity Fair in 2018, "It was the best creative project I've ever been associated with, the best group of people I've ever been blessed enough to work with. In general, this scam."
That's wild because I remember when this movie came out, my mother was hot. She swore up and down that this was like child corn and that Brooke's mom needed her whole ass whooped. So, I mean, for Brooke to say, I don't know, Stockholm syndrome is very deep. For Brooke to say that this was her best project ever floors me, and that these was the best people she ever worked with. I mean, you have to go back and watch this old movie, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. So, on the heels of Diddy and what Cheek said to me, it made me think about other stars, just the dark price of fame and fortune in Hollywood, from Brooke Shields to Corey Haim to Corey Feldman, the situation with Charlie Sheen, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross. And we'll later on in a minute we're gonna get on to Shirley Temple, who is one of the older stars of Hollywood.
Scandalous film only attracted the attention of directors and studios to the person of Brooke. The following films for a very young actress were impressive. The 13-year-old actress had the opportunity to play with two legends of Hollywood in the leading role. With Peter Fonda and Wanda Nevada and George Burns in Just You and Me, Kid. The young actress received impressive royalties at $150,000 and $250,000. Although the films were unsuccessful, they only positively impacted the actress' career. Brooke was called the future superstar of Hollywood. A year later, in 1980, Shields played perhaps the most famous role of her career, The Blue Lagoon. Based on a famous novel, the movie tells the story of two children isolated on a tropical island together who eventually hit puberty and fall in love with each other. The film was scandalous when it was released in 1980 and still is, as it contains a lot of explicit scenes. Brooke was only 14 years old, while her co-star, Christopher Atkins, was 18. In the United States, the film was given an R rating. In the United Kingdom, it was given the R rating before getting a 15 certificate upon its VHS release for its graphic nudity and sexual content. The film with Brooke was once again scandalous. Years after The Blue Lagoon was released, Shields testified before a U.S. congressional inquiry that body doubles were used for shooting her nude scenes. Nevertheless, the movie was criticized for depicting a topless young girl with only hair covering her front part and was, therefore, R-rated in the US. The debate didn't stop the film from being a huge commercial success.
Yes, but what about the fact that it was always, I think people, I don't know, but we had questions about this young man. Were they siblings in the movie? I guess this was, hey, Games of Thrones before Games of Thrones. They were so young when the parents passed away, when they were shipwrecked or whatever, that they may not have even understood what brother and sister were. And then when they started going through puberty, some stuff just jumped off. But it's a weird little movie. And a lot of the movies in Brooke's career early on are weird. They're sexually weird. I don't care what she says. They are sexually weird. And it's because she was seen as so beautiful. And one thing you're going to realize is that later on in life, she's going to have links to Michael Jackson.
Grossing nearly $60 million in the United States and Canada with only a $4.5 million budget. While Blue Lagoon might have earned Brooke Shields an infamous Razzie Award, you can't deny that she went through it to bring her character to life. And the things she was asked to do at 14 years old probably wouldn't be asked by another
Ooh.
child actor nowadays. By 16, Shields had become one of the most recognizable faces in the United States because of her dual career as a provocative fashion model and child actress. Time magazine reported in its February 9, 1981, cover story that her day rate as a model was $10,000. So it's not surprising that the royalties for the following two films were incredibly high. For her role in Endless Love, she received a fee of $500,000. So there was another role where Brooke was filmed in intimate scenes, and there was another scandal. Brooke Shields said she was still a virgin when she filmed this and had no sexual experience. Shields later
Brooke was making money for the 80s. Brooke was making dough. Damn. Oh my goodness. It still seems like prostitution Nez. But hey, what can we say? America's a capitalistic country. Capitalism rules and everybody else drools.
revealed that it hurt and humiliated and traumatized her so much that she really shut down after that. Despite its relative success at the box office, the film was received by audiences and critics. 6 Golden Raspberry nominations, including Brooke Shields receiving a nomination for Worst Actress. But the next film for the 18-year-old actress was a turning point. Brooke's fee for the role in Sahara was equal to $1.5 million, and the film's budget was $25 million. Coming out the same year, Star Wars Episode 6 had a slightly larger budget of $32 million. The duo of directors, Andrew McClagellan and John Guillermin, decided to abandon another role with sexual overtones and engage Brooke as the heroine of the adventure film. Early in filming, producer Menahem Golan said to numerous people that he believed that Brooke Shields would win an Oscar for her role. But the actress received another nomination for the Golden Raspberry. The movie initially had production problems. The movie's screenplay had 8 rewrites, reportedly at the mandate of executive producer Terry Shields, the mother of Brooke. At the box office, the film, with a budget of $25 million, was only able to collect $1.5 million worldwide. Released a little earlier, Star Wars grossed $374 million. This led to it being the last film MGM distributed for the Cannon Group, Inc. After studio executives were disappointed with the lack of quality products the studio provided. And in general, after Sahara, the career of an 18-year-old actress in Hollywood is over. Just at this time, actress has been in the spotlight her entire life and caught the eye of some high-profile celebrities. She dated John Travolta back in the 80s, and at some point, there were rumors that she had a fling with Monaco's Prince Albert. Being considered a pretty face eventually became a burden for her, and that's when Brooke decided to prove she had brains.
I remember her reportedly dating the Prince of Monaco.
She graduated from White Inglewood Prep School in New Jersey and later got her bachelor's degree in Romance languages at Princeton University. And in general, the actress in the 80s completely switched to work on television. Brooke Shields has never stopped working. She still pops up from time to time on TV commercials, and her acting career continues to blossom. She was the lead in Suddenly Susan, a series that ran for 4 seasons. The early 2000s saw her on TV shows like Shoot Me, That 70s Show, Entourage, Law and Order, Criminal Intent, and 2.5 Men. She was also in Lipstick Jungle and recurring on Hannah Montana. Shields has also done her fair share of voice work. She has lent her vocal cords to shows such.
Wasn't she the mama on Hannah Montana? I haven't seen Hannah Montana in years, but it seems like that's what I remember, that she was the mom.
As Gary the Rat, Wonder Pets, Mr. Pickles, and Creative Galaxy. Brooke Shields has also done her fair share of theater work. She had appeared in a few Broadway musicals, one in Grease when she played Rizzo. Now you can sometimes see Brooke Shields in new projects. In 2021, Castle for Christmas, with the actress in the title role, was released on Netflix. But of course, expect the actress's career to get a second wind. Her beauty and producers initially limited her career and viewed her as a pretty teenager for dubious roles. And in general, when the actress grew up, she ceased to be interested in the audience and studios. While her beauty was praised on the covers of high-end magazines, it was not sufficient to secure substantial roles in major productions.
Dang, that's kind of messed up. I wonder what had happened to Brooke Shields, but the ups and downs in her career. But now we get to see what went on, and a lot of that, like I said, my mom was highly upset with Brooke's mom and family and felt like that movie, Little Baby, a little was it, yeah, Sweet Baby, that it was just basically child corn, and that Brooke was being exploited by her family to take care of them. And that's really sad. And we have seen that a lot in Hollywood. The children are taking care of the parents, at their own cost and detriment. It's sad. Maybe one day, it will change, and hopefully with all of this Diddy stuff that's coming out, it will change. Let me see. I had another video that I wanted to show. I don't have a big audience tonight, so I don't know how much longer I'm gonna stay on. Because it's really like, if I don't have enough people, it's just really no reason to stay on here for hours. Let me see what's going on. Let me see how many people are here. Okay, two. All right, just a few. So let's see. Um, I had something planned to go more into it, and if you care, if you want to go back and see the little bit that I touched on with Charlie Sheen, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, what's going on with there, just know that Feldman has a whole documentary out now. Okay. Feldman has an entire documentary out right now about what took place between Corey Feldman, himself, Charlie Sheen, Corey Haim. Um, it's there are conflicting reports. Some people are saying that some people are saying that Corey Haim was coerced. That Sheen came to him allegedly, because Sheen has denied these allegations, and Haim is no longer with us. May he rest in peace. Because he too seemed like he had a tumultuous childhood. I saw where his mom sold his baby teeth on eBay. This is It's really sad. And Corey Feldman claims that he spoke to Hames's mom to get the documentary made, and she was all for it. Then when it came out and there was pushback, uh, it seems like she got paid off. So we shall see. The truth will come out eventually.
1977, Mark Stebbins, Jill Robinson, Christine Mihalik, and Timothy King were abducted, held for days, and murdered. Their killer, known as the Oakland County Child Killer, has never been caught. Now sources are telling 7 Action News that a new suspect has emerged, and it's someone who is still alive.
I just didn't believe it was her until I went to the morgue to see her. My dad couldn't even identify her. All I know is I want to get a hold of the guy that did it, or whoever did it, because I love my sister.
Footprints here in the snow on the steps and fingerprints here on the door frame are among the physical evidence uncovered by the State Police Crime Lab. Right now, they're looking for a man believed to be anywhere from 19 to 25 years of age, 5'10" to 6 feet tall, very slender with a prominent nose and dark, long, wavy hair.
It all began on February 2nd, 1976. Everyone thought it was an isolated case, but the murder of Mark Stebbins of Ferndale remains unsolved. His body turned up 2 weeks after he disappeared in a parking lot in Southfield. The 12-year-old had left his mother and brother at a social function, never to be seen alive again.
Not a day goes by, where you don't wonder and, worry about it, the whys and the wherefores, how long he had been dead before his body was found, who it was.
Based on the investigation at this point, Sergeant, what are your chances of catching the individual or individuals before an incident like this occurs again?
I wouldn't be able to put it in a percentage-wise. There'd be no way for me knowing this, and I don't think anybody could put it in a percentage.
Tonight, our look into the cold case of the Oakland County child killer takes us on a road trip to North Fox Island in northern Michigan. Police were investigating a child pornography ring on the island back in 1977. Now, just months after 3 Oakland County children were killed, and just weeks before, another, Timothy King, was abducted.
The pornography operation was run by a man with ties to Metro Detroit, and police were anxious to find out if he was involved in those serial killings.
Yeah, one theory in the Oakland County child killer case is that it was part of a group of wealthy pedophiles who were trafficking in child pornography and groomed underage kids who became victims. A massive investigation led to two people, Frank Sheldon of Grosse Pointe, who owned much of North Fox Island, and Jerry Richards, a teacher in Port Huron who recruited young boys to fly to the island on field trips.
I remember getting on the plane, I was so excited. Me and Mike and there's two other kids. I think one was a grade above us and one was.
Now, do you see a correlation between this island and Epstein Island? And as you come in, please subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Thank you.
A grade below us, if I remember correctly. And I remember landing. I remember getting our stuff, getting our cabin, and within an hour we were naked on the beach. That's just how it was. If you live on an island, this is how they do it. And there's cameras, a lot all over the place, really.
It's the case that's haunted Metro Detroit for more than 3 decades. 4 children abducted and killed along the Woodward Corridor in the mid-70s by the infamous Oakland County child killer.
Christopher Brian Bush was a convicted pedophile who lived in Bloomfield Hills. The 7 investigators were the first to reveal Bush's autopsy report after he allegedly killed himself inside his family's Bloomfield Township home.
I'm J. Ruben Appleman. I'm the author of The Kill Jar, the first book about the Oakland County child killings. When I was a child in the 1970s, somebody tried to abduct me, and I got away. Nothing happened, but at the same time, they were looking for a kid killer outside of Detroit, and I grew up wondering if that person who tried to abduct me was the Oakland County child killer, the alleged Oakland County child killer, singular. What I later learned after I started digging into the case was that this appeared to be multiple people involved in the abductions of these 4 kids in the 76 and 77. Yeah, I spent 10 years researching that case. This was not a lone maniacal serial killer the way everybody wanted it to seem in the 1970s, or the way the police wanted it to seem in the 1970s, but multiple people were involved in these abductions, and with multiple strings to other, fucked up things that we know about. Fox Island, Cass Corridor, pedophile rings, and, a lot of people, when you talk about this shit, they think you're just a little bit over the edge. But there's only so much of the traditional narrative that you can believe in once you start looking at the documents related to this case. The prosecutors, the political system at the time in Detroit, they knew that. They were covering for people, and, the big story of the book is that was true. But in 1976, Mark Stebbins was abducted. He was found beside a dumpster in Southfield, Michigan, which is right outside of Detroit. He had been raped. He had been in captivity for a number of days, and nobody knew anything until he was found, and they claimed there was no evidence. They claimed he was not sexually assaulted, but documents later showed that he was.
It all began on February 2nd, 1976. Everyone thought it was an isolated case, but the murder of Mark Stebbins of Ferndale remains unsolved. His body turned up 2 weeks after he disappeared in a parking lot in Southfield. The 12-year-old had left his mother and brother at a social function, never to be seen alive again.
Not a day goes by, where you don't wonder and, worry about it, the whys and the wherefores, how long he had been dead before his body was found, who it was, where he was, what he had to go through. And, yes, I'm still very bitter.
Between the time Mark's body was found and that interview was conducted, another youngster had entered what was to be a growing list of infamy.
Then, shortly after Mark was abducted, Jill Robinson, a young girl, was abducted. She was also alone at the time. They found her body several days later.
From Royal Oak, Jill Robinson, 12 years old, was missing. She ran away after a fight with her mother. No one knows anything about the person she met on that adventure, only that that person is a killer.
Mrs. Robinson was especially worried because today, Christmas, is something that Jill was really looking forward to. She had saved enough money from her allowance to buy gifts. Gifts that still remain unopened.
I haven't seen her since, and I wasn't really very worried for an hour or so because she's very stubborn. And I thought she'll stand in the next yard and think about it, and or go around the block or something. And then I thought maybe she went to visit her father.
In 4 days, it was the day after Christmas. Her body turned up in Troy. She was dead of a shotgun blast to the head. County Prosecutor Brooks Patterson told me the investigation would not soon end.
Still remain anonymous, but the investigation is proceeding. But I can't say that a suspect has surfaced, nor that an arrest is imminent. I don't think the public expects these things to be broken in 48 hours.
48 hours passed once, twice, over and over. And while the search for the child killer continued, it happened again.
Months passed between these abductions. Many months later, Christine Mihalik was abducted. They found her body after being held in captivity for something like 19 days.
It will be a week tomorrow since Christine Mihalik disappeared while coming home from this store. In those 6 days, the community has come to realize that a missing child in this area is not merely the problem of the parents. Most of those out collecting funds today have families also.
The money is being used for reward for apprehensions of persons or persons who are holding Christine. If it's not used within a year, if anyone should ask, the money will be turned over to the City of Berkeley for crime prevention against children in the City of Berkeley. And this is Chris's family's wishes. Okay. Thank you very much and good luck.
I think it's worthwhile. We have to find the girl. We need information to find the girl, no matter what the situation is. And that's why I'm here. I think this is the only way we can do it.
When 10-year-old Christine Mihalik never came home from a 3-block trip to a party store in Berkeley. Within 2 weeks, she too was found dead, this time in Franklin Village. Local police departments, state police, and the county began one of the most intensive searches in Michigan's history. And so with this scene now all too vivid in our minds, the search continued, but turned up nothing of importance.
Shortly after that, Timothy King was abducted. They found his body in a ditch.
The key to Timothy King's disappearance is still the rear door here at the Hunter Maple Pharmacy. This is where the youngster was last seen leaving at 8:30 Wednesday night.
Well, I want to say hi to Tim. We love you, Tim. God bless you. Stay tough. I have one other statement to those persons or person who may be with Tim. I don't know if you have children or if you want to have some, but please treat Tim the same way you would your own kid. Talk to him. He's a talkative kid if you've spent some time with him.
The victim this time, Timothy King, age 11 of Birmingham.
Wow, that is very sad. That is really, really sad. To see the parents' response.
Last seen at a party store 3 blocks from home, found a few weeks later on a dark roadside in Livonia.
Livonia police kept a mile-long stretch of Gill Road blocked and allowed only a select group of investigators near the body. Though no official statements were being made, the red jacket Timothy King was wearing when he disappeared could be seen from the roadblock. The police began checking license plates and cars going both directions on a mile-long stretch of 8 Mile Road in hopes that a suspect would return to the scene. As part of the routine, Oakland County deputies stopped and searched several people but turned up nothing.
Do you have any reason to believe that the suspect might still be in the area?
Nothing specific, no. But this type of crime, very often the responsible will return just to see what's going on.
I still feel the most important aspect is the investigation and get this animal off the street.
Oakland County became concerned, fearing it might be an ugly pattern developing. Residents' worst thoughts seemed to be coming true.
Yeah, for real. Get this animal off the streets.
We received our call from Livonia stating a body had been found and
Livonia, Michigan. Yes.
that the clothing description was similar to that of our missing boy.
State and local police say they have no one man under suspicion yet, but they think he lives and works in Oakland County, is a trusted member of the community, and not just some ragged loiterer offering candy to kids.
And shortly after Timothy King was abducted, the abductions of these children stopped. They were all white kids from the suburbs of Detroit, but these were blue-collar suburbs. All 4 abductions happened over the course of 13 months. At the time, the citizens of the area were terrified. Nobody knew what was happening, only that these suburban white kids were going missing, and there were no witnesses, allegedly. Nobody knew why, allegedly. There were no sexual assaults on these victims, allegedly. They just thought somebody was abducting kids to kill them. Everybody was terrified, pretty much. There were posters put up everywhere. It was the beginning of the era of stranger danger. Eventually, there were some witnesses, alleged witnesses, that said they saw a certain type of car, a blue gremlin. They saw a certain type of guy that they thought was the abductor. And these posters on lamp posts and in shop windows were put up everywhere with a sketch of the guy and a mock-up of the vehicle, the blue gremlin with the white hockey stripe.
There were tire tracks found at the scene of where they found the body of Christine Mihalich. Smash the gremlin at all?
Not to my knowledge, no. We would hope that you wouldn't start speculating in that area, okay? We're telling you what we would like you to know. And if you speculate, you could ruin things for us.
We had a
Okay, hold on. So we see what happened at what was now called Pedo Island. Now let's hear what a legend in the game, Shirley Temple, has to say about all of this as well.
Fox. I went to MGM for one picture. Thank goodness, only one. And when I got there with my mother, we were separated. She went into the office of Louis B. Mayer, and I went into the office of Arthur Freed. And he was going to talk to me about a movie he wanted to put me in. I'm 12 years old, you know. And I thought he was a producer, but instead he was an exhibitor. And I'd never seen anyone naked before, except myself. So I had no clue about what was happening. And so it struck me so funny, I laughed at him. And I laughed uproariously. I had tears, you know, and he got infuriated. And he said, out, 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 go.
Did you tell your mother?
Well, I was very quiet. I went down and met her in the lobby of the administration building. She came out very quietly.
So why did Shirley Temple say, thank goodness she only made one picture with MGM? Because if everybody has seen Judy Garland's story on Netflix, so as a little kid, I heard, you know, it was well known that Judy Garland had an alcohol problem, maybe also a drug problem. Mickey Rooney, if you've seen the old movies from like the 40s, 50s, Mickey Rooney, Boys Town. What was that? Father Flanagan, I think was his name. Who played Father Flanagan? Oh my goodness. Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy played Father Flanagan. He had a relationship with Katharine Hepburn for years, even though he was married. So Judy Garland, who plays Dorothy in the Yellow Brick Road. I know I'm going through all this for the really young ones who don't know. She was also Liza Minnelli's mom. So mayor of MGM is alleged to have kept Judy Garland drugged, alcohol filled, and that he was SAing her. So here's Shirley Temple saying, thank goodness she only made one movie with MGM.
From Louis B. Mayer's office. And we walked hand in hand silently to the car, which was unusual. We got in the car driving home. I said, Mom, you won't believe what happened to me. And I told her what happened, and she got kind of quiet. She said, well, you don't know what happened to me. And Louis B. Mayer wasn't as bad as Freed was to me.
Oh, wow.
My mother. And so we both decided that we didn't like MGM much. It was, you know, it was better at Fox.
Wow. That is insane.
I am the founder of a small company named Unwrap. I design.
Great to have you with us.
That is insane. The other guy came on to her mom. This is wild. This is just absolutely wild. I mean, what do you do with this? But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here because I don't have the audience tonight to stay. So y'all can catch it if you're interested on the replay. I'll catch you on the flip side.